Hey everybody, how's it going? John Anthony, Chair Shot Sports, a Sport Coin affiliate. How's everybody doing? Obviously, I'm John Anthony from Chair Shot Sports. This is my guy Vinny from Suds and Squared Circle. Together, we are a Two Stooges collaboration of the Sports Entertainment Center.
Yep.
Vinny, how we doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, John?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Living the dream, running on empty. Awesome. So welcome, guys. Episode 2 of our nice new little show here we have weekly. Last week we talked about a couple things, the AEW deal, a couple other things with some groups coming up, stuff like that. But this week we are very, very lucky. We had 2 awesome things happen, or one soon to happen, actually. NXT just debuted on the CW Sports Network. If you haven't watched it, definitely, highly recommend everyone go take a look at it. Awesome show. We'll talk about a little bit some of the new things that they brought in for the network. I like kind of some of the changes. Then we're also going to touch on the PLE this weekend, Bad Blood. Looks like an amazing card. Vinny, I know you're excited for it.
Yes, I am.
Some great matches, a lot of rivalries I think will end, and some new chapters will start as well. And then we'll talk about a couple other things as well. So let's just jump right into it. Vinny, I was talking a little earlier. I asked you, we were talking about if you saw NXT.
Yes.
You did. What are your initial reactions to seeing it on now a network television, like a prime network TV?
I don't think much really changed other than the fact that, WWE knows network TV. And, they had I don't want to call it failed with Fox on, SmackDown on Fox. SmackDown used to be on the CW. So, I mean, they're well versed in knowing the CW. And the fact that CW paid that kind of money for NXT, which for all intents and purposes is their developmental brand, but the production value is just phenomenal. Now, I get it. They're not going to have a CM Punk on every episode. They're not going to have, they're not going to pull out all the stops. But for what they did, first off, that TNA collaboration is working out. Having Wesley and Zachary Wentz on CW on NXT was fantastic. That match was awesome. And I think that, I think that NXT being there kind of breaks it away from Raw and SmackDown. They have their own gravitas, so to speak. Their own what's the word I'm thinking about?
Aura is what the kids are using.
Exactly.
Their own aura.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not on USA anymore. So they're on their own.
Awesome. No, I agree. I think obviously it was awesome to see them fill out an arena. Yeah. That was just a little from the Performance Center. Amazing. And like you said too, obviously this week they brought in CM Punk. They're in Chicago, the Second City Saint. Next week is St. Louis, home of Randy Orton. So the Viper will be on that TV. Yep. Early numbers out, they did about 897,000, 0.29 the demo. But again, it is the season premiere. It's the network premiere. So I'm sure that'll come down a little bit. I know they're shooting for, obviously aim high, keep the bar high.
Right.
But I agree, man. I think, Zach and Wes going, that's an amazing match. We're going to talk about some of the matches in a minute, just like the main event and just like the women's championship. And the new belts are fresh.
They
fresh. And Sean said every time it's like, could it be another change without us having new belts? So this is
exactly.
This is the these are the fourth edition, I believe, NXT belts.
I believe so. Yeah.
The original N, then the black and gold, the technicolor tie dye, and now these ones. Yep. So fourth edition. But yeah, no, I think it looked good. Production value is always good. It's going to be interesting to see what it looks like from the PC.
Yep.
I think that's something that I think they need to get that brand on the road. I talked about it. If it was you and me that talked about it, it might just be me on my show before. But I think it needs to be a solid third brand by the end of the year. I think it can draw. Yeah, I mean, you have Julia, you have other people. A young lady coming up from Australia making her debut at the end of October at Halloween Havoc.
Yep.
But I think it's going to be great. So what are some of your thoughts? Obviously, the first match at kickoff was Julia and Roxanne, with Roxanne defending her belt, and the return of Cora Jade, which a lot of us have been waiting for. Don't tell me it was a good time, man. I love seeing her on TV.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Not gonna lie. And Julia taking an L. And of course,
Yeah.
you know how knee jerk the IWC is. People, oh my
Yep.
God, how can you ever lose in front of so many people? Obviously, this is how we do it in WWE, guys. Cora debuted. Now it takes her away from the championship for a little bit. We'll bring her back. It's just funny to
Right.
me that people don't see the formula, how it works every single time. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, and the thing is, like, theoretically speaking, when you're looking at the overall, the casual fan, as they call it, who is Julia? If you've been watching NXT all these weeks, we'll even say from the past 6 months, they've seen Julia at the PLE, and then they've seen her for the past couple weeks. She hasn't proven herself on American soil. So I can understand why people are, upset, because if they know her accomplishments in Japan, yeah, she's well worth it and well, versed in getting that title shot. She deserves it. But this is America. This is the US. It's a completely different story. And you're going on network TV where you're going to get a bigger audience than people that search Twitter every day. So you're going to have, people, if they pulled it off and put the title on Julia, you're going to get a lot of people who are upset because they've been following Roxanne Perez. And, Roxy has been phenomenal champion. I love the edge she has for her now. It's kind of skirting that heel baby face type of, shades of gray. And the fact that Cora Jade came down now to help her, that might be some kind of reunion in the future.
Yeah, because I think she tempted to actually. I kind of like the way you are now, and Roxanne's like, no, maybe it'll lead us back to each other. That was the tell. I'd love that seed being planted. Love to see those two back together. Actually, I think they each had the same hair. Actually, she had the highlights the same purple as her, so that was cute. Yeah. So that was a cool match. I totally agree. I've watched Julia before. I'm not a hardcore Japan and New Japan or anything like that across the pond, but I have seen her stuff. And I think it's just we've kind of been, you've been watching for years, decades we've been watching. I think a lot of people that got into it, maybe the Ruthless Aggression and the Attitude Era, more so Ruthless Aggression, have been kind of predisposed to think when the new guy comes in, the old regime would give you the belt without having to earn it. And you're the new guy, you get the belt. That's not, you got to earn it here. And that's exactly what they did. We'll talk about the championship match in NXT with Ethan Page. But you come in now, you make the main roster. Bronson, Breaker had to take some. Obviously, he went on a run, took an L, and then he got the belt. But it was just like you got to earn your stripes. You can't just walk in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was good. I like that. And we'll just talk about that. Obviously, the main event. We'll go right into that. The Zach match was amazing.
It was
amazing match. I popped, man. It was great. Those two are great cinema in the ring together. The story. Yeah, the story they tell is amazing when you can see just the passion when those two wrestle each other.
And that's the biggest thing is because, we're both obviously on Twitter all the time and we see today, AEW had their 5-year anniversary Dynamite last night. There's a match between Will Ospreay and Ricochet. And the video's going all around, and not to jump ahead a little bit, but
it's fine.
It's like there's high flying. And then there's just gymnastics.
Yeah,
what Wesley and Zachary once did at NXT was high flying because they told the story. It wasn't just a gymnastics routine. It wasn't no selling. And I'm not harping on AEW because it's happened in multiple. It's even happened in the WWE at times where you get those times where two luchadors go back and forth, let's say John Morrison and Kofi Kingston, they go back and forth and they go through a gymnastics. It happens.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's the story. When you have guys that can do high flying, but also tell a story and sell, that's what makes a good match.
No, I agree. That's again. I just had a review show of the 5th anniversary. I was talking with one of our co-hosts, Jess. No, she. I said the same thing. It's a great match. The only two things I didn't like about it. One, you did it on free TV, and you and me have talked about that before.
Exactly. Yep.
And again, Ricochet. The one thing, not to go off the tangent of going into AEW or anything, but I really hope Ricochet doesn't face the mold or go into the mold of what they've done with WWE talent that isn't like a Mox.
Right.
You go in, you go for a mid card, you end up getting the TNT title, something happens, and then that's it. and now you're just in random storylines. So I really hope Ricochet is different this time around.
Agreed.
The draw, also the second thing that really upset me. Obviously, we're going to run it back now, but now it's going to be a triple threat. Shibata got involved, so it's just like now. Oh, I'm sorry, Hikeshita. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't keep up, man. Hikeshita got involved, so now it's a triple threat. So now does Ricochet win? Because obviously the formula for the triple threat is, do we make someone not look weak? Yep. So it's going to be interesting. Interesting to see what happens at Wrestle Dream. But that match slapped. That was great. The main event was great. I didn't have this happening. I did not have. So it was Trick Williams taking on All Ego Ethan Page, our man, the Second City State, well represented on the show over here. CM Punk is your special guest referee. I was impressed. Before we get into the result in the match, CM Punk did a hell of a job as a special guest referee. He did an awesome job. Just being in there, but just also awesome job. It was part of the match, but didn't take away from the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of the day, Trick Williams gets the title back, man. He's two-time Trick. He's your new NXT champion, ushering in the CW network season and premiere. So what do you think of the title move?
You know what? I wasn't expecting it, but I actually like it, because here's the thing. Ethan Page is established. You know, it's like you see all these guys coming in from whether it's AEW, TNA, MLW, they're all starting on the, on NXT, and then they're being moved up. You know what? Ethan Page has been in the business for a long time, and you know what? He has the talent. He got the title quickly. He lost it quickly. And you know what? I think that he's going to interfere on Saturday at Bad Blood to cost CM Punk the Hell in a Cell.
Oh, I like the call.
Because after CM Punk gave him the go to sleep at the end, because they teased tension all throughout. Punk absolutely. In the middle, and then afterwards you hit him with the go to sleep. I think he's going to cost CM Punk the Hell in a Cell.
I just want CW to get. I miss the overrun. You know what I'm talking about. Growing up, you got that extra 10 minutes. I feel like always, even it looks like at CW, it looks like they ended at 10 o'clock, maybe 10:01. Well, I feel like that go to sleep. That go to sleep was left behind. Like he did it. Yeah. And you see Trick like smiling, looking at him, and CM Punk just gets out of the ring. Like, did we even talk about that? Where's Big Joseph? We're not talking about that. Like,
the problem with being on network with the overrun, which is why SmackDown didn't do it on Fox, is because they're contractually obligated to put the news on at 10.
Yeah, I know.
So
it stinks.
And when you have the CW, is because mainly the CW is a secondary broadcast network. So for example, in Connecticut, CW is CT, channel 20. Their sister is Fox 61. So if Fox has like a football game on, or has college football, NFL, whatever, and it goes put the news on the CW.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's like CW 20 or something.
Yeah, CW 20.
Yeah.
So that's what they run into being on broadcast. But honestly, I don't care. It's like, you might have a little bit of time wiggle room wise, where you have to kind of cut down a little bit. But the way that WWE produces their stuff, they're getting down almost to the second.
Yeah, the talent is very timed and very good to go. Very rarely, there's the PLE a couple months ago, but you see like where they had to cut something short, but usually they're right on the dime and right to the minute.
Yeah.
But that's right. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I honestly didn't. I saw the GTS. They didn't think about the Hell in a Cell. We'll talk about that when we start talking about Bad Blood. But overall, I'm excited. I think it's a good network. And I looked at something too. I noticed, because I tag them when I do my little shout outs and talk about the show that night. It looks like they're branching off into a secondary, whether they had it before or not, but they're going hard, pushing a secondary CW sports division of the CW. So you're going to start. So what you'll start to see is the news part might say the CW little one, the 20, and the whatever it is. Yeah. CW Sports will probably become something, because I saw there was an ad during for Smack that week upcoming, and it was football. It was NXT. So I think that might be their new direction.
Yeah, they are.
So, but that's good too. Having WWE again, you paid that money, because I'm sure they have other people. Hey, we got wrestling over here, And who knows? Maybe TNA ends up on CW. Who knows? Obviously, they're supposed to be there before.
Well, they've got the NWA on their app.
See, there you go. So, okay. So it could be something. I mean, obviously, TNA was supposed to be there. Stuff happened with that. WWE, they kind of slipped in. But now with the new partnership, who knows? So that'll be interesting. But I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be successful. And
I think so, too.
People keep tuning in. And the last tidbit I'll bring about AEW and that AEW and Fox are in talks right now for talking about a new show.
That's almost a little bit of a misleading, not necessarily on your part, but the way that the media is twisting it is that it's going to be FS1 if they get anything.
That's Fox. What I was going to say.
It's not actually Fox broadcast. It's not like Fox won't go. They got rid of WWE, but they're going to take AEW. Well, AEW is going to go to their secondary cable network that is prone to preemptions and other stuff. So when they talk, about AEW looking at Fox, it's a secondary channel.
That's what I was going to say, because the tagline shows Fox, it shows AEW. Then the big thing going on, obviously, is they're talking about either Tuesdays or Thursdays. Well, people don't know it's not going to be Fox. Fox learned their lesson. Wrestling might not be for our people, but we can put on FS1 and say we carry it in our portfolio. So you made my point. Thank you. Exactly. That's what I was going to go with that. So that's interesting to watch, because maybe, just maybe, they launch Shockwave against NXT. That'll be cool to see. But anyway, I digress. So with that being said, that was Tuesday. We're going headstrong into the weekend. Saturday is Bad Blood coming out of the ATL. Awesome card stacked up. Me and Vinny already talked a little bit about some of the matches. We're wicked excited for this card. I'm pumped to see Bad Blood make a resurgence. It was one of the Raw brand only pay-per-views back in the brand extension era for Raw. So that was one of the first ones. And then I'm just really hoping that they bring back Armageddon in December. Really, really hoping they bring that one back. So I'll just go down the card, no particular order. Obviously, we'll go kind of lowest up to the main event. So we'll just start with Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Obviously, a grudge match here. Damian used to be in the Judgment Day, obviously going against Finn Balor, who has been pulling all the strings all along, getting Dom to talk to Liv, kind of really to the demise of Rhea Ripley, get it going on as well. I think this is going to be a great match. I think this is where kind of Damian kind of rises up and has his comeuppance and has his shining moment. There's going to be interference. Things are going to happen. But I think he's going to finally get that win over Finn. He's probably going to get a hellacious beatdown when it's all over. But he is going to beat off who he has to, get everyone out of the ring. I'm sure Rhea will make an appearance at some point to help with something. I'll probably Liv, obviously, or get hit a Funko McDonough. But I got Damian Priest going over here. What do you think?
I agree. I think Damian Priest takes the win. And if they continue to have the Gaga in this match with the Judgment Day, Rhea, and everything, I would love to see them. I would love to see Finn bring the Demon back into the fact against Damian Priest. And I know with Finn being the heel, that doesn't look very well because, well, they already tried it against Edge in the Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. And it didn't really go over that well because too many people like the Demon. But I think if they're smart, and I don't know, I'm not in the writing room or anything, but what I would do is I would have Damian Priest break up Judgment Day from inside. That he's already been thrown out by beating Finn here and overpowering Carlito and McDonough and all that. He's weakening the Judgment Day from the inside. And then that way, that could be Finn almost trying to find himself. Like, he's got so much power. He's resisting his call to the dark side, to go with the Demon King. And then all of a sudden, he's got to in order to vanquish Damian Priest. But again, that's playing as if Damian Priest is the heel and Finn is the babyface. Will they go that way? I don't know. I think it would make for some interesting television, though.
Oh, I agree. Anytime you can bring it's been a long time for the Demon, man. I would not mind seeing him make an appearance, man. I just can't wait to see when we get all this is said and done and kind of Finn has back in a singles run. I'd love to see him get some gold back around his waist, meaning either a world championship or the WWE Undisputed, because it's, he's never gotten that shot back, and I think he definitely deserves that before it's all said and done. So,
well, Finn does have the tag titles. So
no, I'm saying like going for like the main
yeah.
title, like, having And don't get me started. Like they just crossed 100 days and only one title defense. Like I don't know, man. I don't know. They don't need the belts. I just let them go, man. Like let them go. There's such a tag division in that company. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I think that with this past Monday, and they had that vignette with the 3 symbols, I have a feeling that the War Raiders are coming back. And not the Viking Raiders, the War Raiders.
War Raiders, yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go old school with this. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And I think they're gonna get the titles.
Yeah, because the gents from AEW have to stay there for another. Well, at least one. I think Penta has to stay there for another 10 months.
Yeah, another 10 months.
Another 10 months before they debut, unfortunately. But
although it does bring up what happened to the Motor City Machine Guns, because I thought they were going to be coming out this past Wednesday on NXT or Tuesday.
So the rumor is Halloween Havoc.
Oh,
whatever's gonna, yeah. So that's the run. So I'm hoping, but they have. I mean, for what I checked back, they're signed. They're ready to go. So maybe they're just doing some extra work at the PC, but they're good to go. Probably Halloween Havoc, especially if they saw the young. What is her? Is it Dallas? I just tweeted about it earlier the day. I can't believe I forgot the young lady from Australia who's debuting.
Yeah, I think it is Dallas. Yeah,
Dallas. Okay. Good I have so many names.
But they also have Stephanie Vacure coming in too.
Can't wait for Vacura. Oh man, that's what I'm saying. That they're stacking up. This CW is going to be awesome. This roster is going to be stacked. I'm so excited.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome. So speaking of the women of WWE and NXT, we're going to start with the WWE Women's Championship. We have Nia Jax taking on Bayley in a rematch. This is interesting to me. Obviously, we have the Tiffany Stratton, dichotomy. Will she? Won't she? If she does, what happens? But I think I've Nia Jax going over here. Bayley's last title run was a little meh for me. I know her chase is always good. The chase for her going to a belt is always good with the fans. Pops, does all the right stuff. Always great doing the stuff in the back with Naomi. Hey, when I win, it's you and me. We're gonna get that shot. But I think Nia Jax wins here. Obviously, at some point, Tiffany's got to be involved. I don't know if it's for good or for bad. I don't think she cashes in. I don't think Saturday's the night we see the cash in. Could there be a tease like they've been doing the past couple weeks? Maybe. But I don't think it's a cash this week. I could be wrong. What do you think?
I'm going to make a bold prediction, and I'm going to say Tiffany Stratton walks out with the title. Here's what I think. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that Bayley's going to beat Nia Jax. Whether it's she slips on a banana peel and she gets a quick win with a roll-up or something. Whatever the case is, I think she wins the title. Nia Jax gets pissed. She's a monster. She beats up Bayley. Here comes Tiffany to capitalize and cash in and take the title. I know that they've been doing that a lot, but I think that is what really makes sense when you have that briefcase. When you're taking advantage of a fallen champion or a weakened champion. You're not necessarily saying, oh, I have this briefcase, I'm going to challenge at this event. Very few people have done that. John Cena did it. Rob Van Dam did it. But ultimately, when were the best times to cash in? When the champion was prone. Coming from the very first time, Cena wins the title in an elimination chamber. He's weakened. Here comes Edge. One spear later, and then there's your new champion.
Yep.
So I think that may happen, and then you see some tension between Nia Jax and Tiffany going forward. But if you're going to want to get the title onto Tiffany, now's the time to pull the trigger.
No, I agree with that. That's a good point. Good point. I just don't know. I just feel like I know the biggest complaint that they've had is the women don't hold on to the belt long enough. It's almost like they win it and they're cashing in a little after. So I don't know. Maybe. And
don't get me wrong. I am enjoying Nia's run. I think Nia has improved tremendously time around in WWE.
I agree.
She's not as green as she was. She's more living up to her, monster gimmick. For lack of a better term, a female Yokozuna. And that's not just because she's the bonsai drop, but it's the fact that she's actually utilizing her size as an advantage, and they're booking her better.
Yeah.
They're not having her fall on the canvas and yell, "My hole." I mean, that was just absolutely ridiculous.
That GIF is still top 5, man. I'm telling you. That's why. Oh, man.
They're actually giving her stuff to do. She's performing fantastically. I'm enjoying the title run, but I think it's Tiffany's time to shine. It's Tiffy time.
There you go, baby. No, I agree. I think she's been under Nia for a reason. She's getting the tutelage. She's learning how to be a solid heel, what to do, what not to do. And I mean, Tiffany obviously been in the gym. She looks great. She looks phenomenal. She's ready to go.
Yep.
I'm excited for it. So if that does happen, listen, we run on Tiffany time at Chair Shot. So listen, I'm ready for it if it happens. So I'm good. So let's stay with the women. Let's jump over to Raw. Let's talk about the World Women's Championship. A little bit of a weird match here. We got Liv, we got Rhea Ripley, and we got our man Dirty Dom Mysterio hanging out in the shark cage up above the ring. This is going to be obviously he's been doing some comedic stuff going on up there, and it's coming to find out that our poor little Dirty Dom is very claustrophobic. So that's going to be awesome to see what he's doing in that cage the whole match.
One thing I have to poke holes in that is last year he was in War Games. So he was in a shark cage that was similar size with 3 other people.
I know.
So if you're claustrophobic there,
I saw before she finished talking, I said, Beth, afraid of heights. And she goes, no, I'm like, oh, heights would have been the best. Heights would have been so much better. But I think it's going to be, I really hope with him doing a lot of stuff up there, if that's what we're going for, I really hope the match isn't too crazy in the ring. A lot of people are going to be watching him to see what he's doing, whatever's going to be dropping down to her. I think, again, I got to stay with the champion. I think Liv wins here. Because I think I have a feeling where Liv has, she's been saying, Rhea said the odds are against you. I got you this time. You don't have your Dirty Dom. I think Liv makes a phone call and brings back Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah. Yep.
She comes back. They bring it back up, and then we follow the whole. She's probably her heavy, helps her out. And then obviously turns, realizes she wants the belt, yada yada yada. And we have that run, whatever that goes. But I got Liv walking away. It's going to be a good match. Don't get me wrong, entertaining. Those two are getting really good in the ring together, meaning Liv and Rhea.
Yeah.
So those see some Judgment Day. Dominic will be throwing stuff from the cage, and like I said, Raquel Rodriguez. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with you with Liv. I really think that Liv is gonna take the title, keep the title. I really wish that Dom had said that he couldn't go in the shark cage because he was suffering from PTSD from being in prison. That would have been so much better, because he's, storyline wise, he was in prison for one night and then he got his entire thing about, being in the big house is what I learned.
Hard times.
Yeah.
Hard times, Daddy.
It would be fantastic if he tried to drop a shiv down to Liv to, take out Rhea or a shank or a slapjack or like a typical movie prison weapon where it's a sock filled with quarters or a sock filled with something heavy.
I like
you know what I mean? Just to kind of play with the gimmick. I'm going into a cage, so I have to protect, and I think that's going to be how Liv is going to win it. And again, Raquel Rodriguez coming back is another thing, because I've heard rumors that she's ready to come back as well. And I think I've heard they want to stretch this Liv and Rhea out to WrestleMania. I don't know how that's going to happen. They have to keep them apart at some point. And, that maybe Liv goes into, does her own thing. Rhea does her own thing for now. And Rhea goes and wins the Rumble again. I don't see if they can do that. But who knows? They've been unpredictable recently. So.
Yeah, no, you and me have talked about that. It's like, we talked about the WrestleMania and stretching it all the way there. I mean, you bring back Raquel. Okay, so now there's probably not a match at Survivor Series because somehow the Judgment Day will get into the War Game. So that's that. Now you're looking at December, get to the Rumble. It's doable. They got 3 good months. They got to figure out how to get there. And then you're like, okay, then maybe we put finally, Rhea, you want to make this happen? Got to go in the chamber. Got to win your way. And then finally, then she's the number 1 contender. You know what I mean? Then you just bought yourself 2 months. But obviously, if that's the case, I'm sure Rhea gets her win again at WrestleMania. So, I think it's gonna be a good match. A lot of a lot of stuff, a lot of people coming down to the ring. I think it's going to be good. It'll be entertaining,
Yeah.
especially with Dom in the cage. So speaking of cages, let's talk about one of the bigger cages being dropped down around the ring. The Hell in a Cell grudge match between CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. This match is going to empty the chamber, man. Everything but the kitchen sink, and maybe the kitchen sink. I don't know. They pulled out toolboxes. They pulled out toolbox way back in the day, but this match is going to be horrific. People are going to bleed. There's going to be a lot of stuff. I hope they keep it in the cage.
Yeah.
They did drop it down though. I did notice the footholes in the cage though. I saw it on the side.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You never know. But I think this is finally where CM Punk gets the decisive and the much needed win in this rivalry. But my bigger hope, my bigger concern is that in true Hell in a Cell lore and how it's done, in the past, we open up Monday, whichever one comes out. Obviously, CM Punk is a winner, goes to talk, and then someone else comes out, and that's a new rivalry. We keep these two apart, maybe even switching shows if needed. Down the road, if we do an impromptu draft before Netflix on Raw on Netflix. But I think they need to be done. This is over. That's it. You left it all. You took years off your life in the chamber. I mean, in the cell, and that's it. So I have Punk winning here. What do you think?
I have Punk winning. I've got Punk winning, but I have, like I said earlier, I think Ethan Page comes out and interferes somehow. And then I think that what could happen is eventually Drew McIntyre is going to go to SmackDown. The reason why I say that is they just kind of put out a teaser of Raw going to Netflix in January. They just put an ad out through the email. Drew McIntyre was not on there. And as somebody who's been the top heel for this past year, he should be front and center. He was nowhere on that ad. So I'm thinking he's going to SmackDown challenging Cody, for Cody's next feud. But I'm tossed on whether McIntyre wins because of interference, I'm assuming from Ethan Page, or Ethan Page just comes into interfere and Punk still gets the win. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. I want to say Punk wins, which throws McIntyre over to SmackDown, but this is a pick'em for me. You're versed in betting terms. I think this is a pick'em.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you. I think we talked about this prior to. I think part of me thinks not everything's done for a reason. Everything's set on TV for a reason. AJ Lee's been thrown around a lot. She has a lot going on outside of the ring. Yeah, but who's to say she doesn't make a one-off? Maybe she's in the crowd. Maybe Punk goes to that. You got to admit, this Punk that's been coming out, even the past two promos. This past promo he cut.
Oh yeah!
Wow! Going to that place, yes. So I could see him doing. I don't know. We're not going. No offense. We're not going AEW all in here. We're not doing anything wild. But going to a point of doing something catastrophic to Drew, and her banging on the cage to stop. You know what I mean? Something like that. Maybe after the bell rings. Something wild. I don't know. But I think she's involved at some point. But I don't think she involves maybe the decision, but involved in maybe after the match she's going to do something wild. And she has him stop and whatnot. And it's the pop of her coming on, and that's your clicks and everything else. But I agree. And the thing is, too, this is also we have two dueling general managers. Pierce has come out and said he drafted this roster to have the most chaotic people around, this, that, and the other. And also, it's just maybe you see him on SmackDown talking to Aldis. You know what? I'm done over there. I'm done with this guy. Whatever. Yeah, I want to come here and open a new chapter, and there we go. And it ushers him over on the blue brand. So that's why I always love the general manager part of having them on the shows. You can always be making deals and buying people out. And maybe we see someone go over to SmackDown in a trade. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, I think that's going to be. But again, at the end of the day, we all win because I think the match is going to be amazing. Lots of blood, man. Yeah. But yeah, so we both see CM Punk winning in different ways, but it's going to be the same outcome. Punk winning. Yeah. Here. But speaking of blood, it's been announced that the Bloodline and Cody and Roman will be main eventing this PLE. So obviously, like I just said, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, never before, never again, a la Punk, a la Cena and Rock, taking on Bloodline 2.0 with Solo Sikoa.
Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't think there's a lot of run-ins here. We talked about a little bit before we came on, and I just a lot of run-ins here. There's a lot of people that are signed right now. One down at NXT, one trying to get in. And obviously two. Cody, I don't know if you guys saw on the Pat McAfee show. Cody just kind of hinted at I'm sorry, Pat McAfee said the big guy coming?
Yeah.
Big dog. I'm sorry, big guy. Big guy.
Big
guy. Yeah, big guy coming. And Cody's like, which one? No, that's all I need to know. No, I'm good. Never mind. So you never know. Big guy. I mean, obviously it's not who coined big guy last. It's not Ryback. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. No.
So obviously all signs are pointing to the great one, the board of directors, the member of the board of directors, The Rock.
Maybe not. It could be Brock Lesnar.
I thought Brock Lesnar. See, that was my first thought was Brock, and then I opened up my timeline. All I see is The Rock everywhere. I go, no. Brock Lesnar, because Roman's reaching out everywhere. This is the story. Roman's like, shit, I need everybody. I need to get the Avengers back together, man.
Here's the draw to that, though. Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
Roman reaches out to Heyman and says, listen, we're going into Bad Blood. It's going to be the two of us against, Jacob Fatu and Solo. We need some reinforcements. Call Brock. Because I think this match is what's going to set up War Games. I don't see Judgment Day in War Games. I see Bloodline in the War Games. It's going to be the Bloodline Civil War.
Yep. This is the true Civil War. They tried that. They tried it last year. Like, not so much. This is going to do it. And it's honestly it's like Roman's making that callback to all the people. Like but he needs them now. It's like, come on, I need you guys. We'll figure it all later. He already told Cody, "I'm coming for that belt after the bell rings."
Right.
But literally, I need you guys to get rid of these guys. So I have the Bloodline winning here. I think they're going to go over however it happens, and that's really where Roman's like, "That's it.
Yeah,
it's all the stops." And like you said, make the call to the wise man. He comes back. He brings the heavy artillery. So obviously, we're sure we're going to have a show about it, but War Games, I think, is going to be phenomenal in regards to who's in that match. Obviously, we know who's going to be for Bloodline 2.0, but I think we're going to be very surprised who's going to be on the other side for Team Roman. So I'm excited for that.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's going to be a good match. And obviously, there's some members of the Bloodline that might pop up too that might be helping out Solo Sikoa as well.
Yeah. And it's going to be great. I have Bloodline going over too, because I think they're going to tease the lack of trust between Cody and Roman, or the fact that Roman doesn't want to depend on Cody. And no offense to Jimmy Uso, I hope he's not the big one coming back this weekend.
Yeah, no.
That would be like a popcorn fart.
Oh no. I hope not.
And no offense to him, because he's a great athlete, and it would be great with the story for him to come back at some point.
But he's not the big guy. Like,
no, he's not. He's not. So I hope it's Brock. And if it's The Rock, it's The Rock. But I think The Rock comes back more along the lines of Royal Rumble time.
Yeah, Rumble. At night after Rumble, whoever, I agree. Maybe whoever wins challenges for Raw, and The Rock comes in and goes, no, sorry, buddy. And you're like, what are you talking about? You can't do that. Yes, I can. With board of directors, there you go. And he just kind of takes the title shot. No, I'm facing Cody or something like that. No, I agree. It's definitely more. You see him when we turn that exit, hit the road to WrestleMania. That's when you see The Rock come in. Yeah. No, I agree. But Bloodline. I think we both have the Bloodline going over. I don't think it's a predictable PLE. I don't. No. But it is. But I think the way that how we're gonna get to those outcomes is gonna make a lot of sense, which WWE does a great job of doing. I knew it was gonna happen, right? But you were like, I didn't know that was gonna happen though. Like you knew it was who was gonna win. How we get there, is part of the journey and part of the excitement of it. So,
agreed.
But I think it's gonna be a good match, a good card. I'm excited. I'm gonna miss part of it. Hopefully, get out of work to catch the end. If not, be watching the whole thing and probably talking about it next week. So.
See, unfortunately, I'm the opposite, because it starts at 6 and I have to be up at 2:00 in the morning, Sunday morning. So I'll miss the ending, and then I'll have to watch it the next day.
See, I couldn't do that. I can't do that, man. I can't. More power to you. I can't turn it off. I couldn't. I gotta watch it. I can't do it. But yeah, it's funny they're doing that too, because I was like, man, the one time I was hoping for a Saturday night in the States, 8:00 traditional. I'll miss like the first half. Nope. UFC has a big PLE. I mean pay-per-view, so they go early so they don't interfere. Good job, TKO. Good job. So with that being said, we talked about NXT, we talked about Bad Blood. You and me were talking about a topic a little while ago, and you wanted to talk about it, bring it up. And I totally agree, because this is a thing that's been going on for ages, more so lately. You didn't do it back in the day. It was almost, taboo to do it unless that wrestler told you it was cool. That's initiating and performing someone else's finishing move.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think there are so many overused moves that it's just absolutely. And the one thing the one match I have to say that really brought it out to me was when Jey Uso beat Braun Breaker, because Breaker has been using the spear this whole time. Mm-hmm. Jey Uso started using the spear because Roman got the spear over, and it's like, so you have Braun Breaker hitting Jey Uso with a spear. Jey kicks out. Jey hits Braun with a spear. Braun kicks out. And then Braun hits Jey with a spear outside through the guardrail. Gets back in the ring. Something happens. Jey hits Braun with a spear and then a splash in 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Like, I'm sorry, but I know the spear is a great move, but it's too overused, because you've got Roman using it as his finisher. Granted, he's got the guillotine now, so I mean, it could go either way. But Roman's been using it for a decade as his finisher. Yeah. Charlotte uses it every so often. Jey Uso uses it. Braun Breaker uses it. And honestly, I think Braun Breaker is the only one that should be able to use it, because he's got the most intensity out of it at this point.
That man's rope speed is wild.
Like 23 miles an hour or something like that.
He comes off that third rope that third time. He's going that 20-something miles an hour. That's nuts.
He can't even get through his school zone without getting a ticket running. I mean, that's how good this dude is.
Yep.
But and we've talked about the different moves and stuff. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was a big taboo to use somebody else's move.
You go in the back at Gorilla, you get your ass kicked. Like, that's you someone's move, man.
WWF, you had Jake the Snake using the DDT, and WCW had Arn Anderson. And that was it.
Yep.
You had Bret Hart with the sharpshooter, you had Sting with the Scorpion Deathlock. And that was it.
Yep.
And I get it. We're at the point now where these moves have kind of lost their luster and they've become setup moves. But still, there's just too much. It's not believable for me that Braun Breaker's spear can't beat Jimmy Uso, but Jimmy Uso could beat Braun Breaker with a spear and then a splash. Mm-hmm. And nothing to Jey Uso, but that's my rant.
No, but we started talking about that, and I really got to thinking about it. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, the spear, I get that. Then I was like, wait a minute, I had the same call to both back in the day when it was WWE, WCW. You had the rock bottom, and you had the bookend for Booker T. Because then they had which one was first when they came over and they bought him out. Like that was who did what first. But perfect example. I started thinking about it. Like the spear you're talking about is the cutter. Yes. A lot of you know that as the RKO. Some of you might know it as the Cody cutter. If you're an AEW guy, you know it as the Oz cutter. I think the cutter is right under spear of a lot of people taking it. DDP had it. Yep. The diamond cutter. That's kind of a lot of people. When Randy Orton first hit that move, he probably just got up from watching an episode of the Monday Night Wars. Because the only difference was DDP actually made the diamond symbol in the back of your head and would drop it. Right. And Randy's is nasty, don't get me wrong. But yeah, no, the same thing. But going back to asking someone permission for doing something, right, and taking as your finisher, the most current thing right now is Kevin Owens. He made the phone call to Stone Cold, and he asked Steve Austin, he goes, listen, do you mind? And he's like, oh, hell no, man, go and take that. And he does a stunner, So it's I know what you mean, though. Like the stunner, though, that's the finisher. That's not a setup. But the spear, though, when done right, you can go down I mean, go look at Twitter anytime when someone's talking about who did what better. There's like 17 different wrestlers who did the spear better. Like, Goldberg's was one of the best because it wasn't a spear. It was a football tackle. And that's why it broke you in half. Like,
exactly,
you see the spear, he hit the spear on The Rock. The Rock talked about it in whatever documentary he did. That The Rock sitting there he hurt Dwayne because he gave him the football in stomach, and he's like, that's not how we do a spear. He goes, damn, man, that hurt. Like, I wasn't expecting that because that's why Goldberg is one of the best to do it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, and obviously Edge. We can go down, like you said, we can go down the list. But I guess it's how you sell it and how you do it, and it's all about presentation. But Braun Breaker, I think, if you got to have a who's who of who takes like that mantle, it's gotta be Braun Breaker, man.
It has to be.
Absolutely. Just like the cutter now, it's got to be Randy Orton, So.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is like these moves are protected. So Randy Orton hits the RKO, beats someone 1, 2, 3. In 2 weeks, you see, the same person facing Cody Rhodes. Cody does a cutter off, a springboard cutter nonetheless.
Yep.
And he kicks out at 2. So did you just?
Is it a finisher? Is it a signature? Is it just a move? What is it?
Exactly.
What move is overused? I don't care who does it. And one man made it famous for the longest time is the super kick.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
HBK, when he hit you with that sweet chin, over, baby. That was it. Nope.
Yeah.
Lights out. Now everybody's it's not again. No, we're not picking on the Usos. Okay.
Correct.
But it's just like, and not for nothing, I'm gonna go over to the other company. I got the Young Bucks over here having super kick parties, kicking dudes over and over and over. Same thing, the Usos. Super kick, super kick, super kick. That move should be over the top, one time under the chin, you're done. That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's just an overused move.
Oh yeah. But I mean, you can make the argument, oh well, those moves are being used more often because it's not the originator, so it's not the best. When Mark Henry did the World's Strongest Slam, that was his finisher, and that worked. Nobody else. I don't even think. Maybe Bronson Reed has used it a couple times, but I don't think anybody's really used the World's Strongest Slam.
No, really, no. These aren't that big enough where you can believe it.
Right. The Tombstone was The Undertaker, and then Kane, which makes sense. They're brothers in storyline, so that makes total sense. And then when somebody.
No, go ahead.
And then now you've got the Young Bucks doing a version of it as the Meltzer driver, with the other one bouncing off the rope, jumping off the ropes.
Yep.
So it's all in perspective, which I get. And one of the best moves, and it's a tag team move that I have to say that I absolutely love, was the Powerplex with Power and Glory. And I love how FTR does it because it's fantastic. And they're like the only ones that do it because they're the only ones that really have the timing to do it. But they haven't been able to really utilize it too much in AEW. They've used it, but it's not a finisher.
Right.
There's
some really good. Speaking of tag teams, real quick, not to diverge off the singles, but there's some really good tag team moves, finishing moves out there.
Yeah,
FTR has an amazing one. The young ladies now, was it PFG, whatever? Yeah, PCF, whatever it is. Their finisher is really good. The young ladies down in NXT, not Fatal Attraction, Fatal Influence. They have a really good one. And some of the dudes, obviously, the Good Brothers have, they have one as well. There's some really good tag moves out there, like finishers that have really put some thought into. That makes sense. Then lastly, the last one I'll talk about that's like kind of been outplayed and talk about who did it, the choke slam.
Oh yeah.
And Priest does it. Everybody does it. Everybody gets a choke slam. It's just like Strowman does it. It's just like I guess at the end of the day, imitation is the best sincere form of flattery, right? So whoever originated, they know I was the first one to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So hey, it's gonna be an awesome. It's been a great week. It's gonna be a great weekend with Bad Blood. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Obviously, kind of ran out of time a little bit. Me and Vinny got to go prep. We, if you guys haven't heard, we have we're going live in a little while for going over episode 2, 3, and 4 of the McMahon documentary on Netflix. Have a couple other people joining us, and also a very special guest ex-WWE and ECW wrestler Justin Credible will be joining us for some insight. The gentleman was there in the trenches, in the offices, hearing a lot of stuff. So he's going to be shooting from the hip, letting us know what he thinks about that. So we're excited for that as well. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Vinny, why don't you let everyone know where we can find you at?
Oh, as always, you could hit me up on Twix. It's at Suds Media or at Vinny Suds, either one. I cover both. And then the fact that you're watching this or listening to this, it is up on our YouTube platforms, Patreon, podcasts, anywhere. There's a lot of distribution now for the show. But yeah, definitely on Twix at Suds Media or at Vinny Suds.
Awesome. Definitely shoot my man over here. Subscribe. Awesome content, especially if you're a soap opera fan as well. Always has weekly live shows covering that as well. You guys know who I am. I'm John Anthony. Chair Shot Sports all across all social medias. And like Vinny said, if you're watching this right now on YouTube, please shoot us a subscribe. We'd love a like. Definitely follow us. A lot of content for a lot of different avenues. You can also find me on X, on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitch at Chair Shot Sports as well. So awesome, man. Another episode in the books. Always a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. So for myself and for Vinny, thank you for tuning in to Sports Entertainment Center. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you next week.